our Prabhuji, Gopaleshwar Prabhuji, on behalf of congregation of Ruplas Prabhuji as well as from BARC. You are welcome here.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय श्री श्री राधा माधव की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Okay, we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, the creation of the fourth order, Chapter 13, the descendants of Dhruva Maharaj, verse number 31. सदस्पतया ऊचु नरदेहव भवतो नागम तावन् मनाक् स्थितम् अस्ति एकं प्राक्तनम् अघम यद इहे दृक् त्वम् अप्रज। Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The head priest said, O king, in this life we do not find any sinful activity even within your mind, so you are not in the least offensive. But we can see that in your previous life you performed sinful activities, due to which, in spite of your having all qualifications, you have no son. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The purpose of marrying is to beget a son, because a son is necessary to deliver his father and forefathers from any hellish conditional life in which they may be. Chanakya Pandit therefore says, Putra hinam graham shunyam. Without a son, married life is simply abominable. King Anga was a very pious king in this life, but because of his previous sinful activity, he could not get a son. It is concluded, therefore, that if a person does not get a son, it is due to his past sinful life. Om Ajnantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauramani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 13, verse number 31. Okay, we'll read previous two verses also. Verse number 29, 30 and 31. Maitreya explained that King Anga, after hearing the statements of the priest, was greatly aggrieved. At that time, he took permission from the priest to break his silence and inquired from all the priests who were present in the sacrificial arena. King Anga addressed the priestly order, "My dear priest, kindly tell me what offense I have committed." Although invited, the demigods are neither taking part in the sacrifice nor accepting their shares. The head priest said, "O king, in this life we do not find any sinful activity even within your mind, so you are not in the least offensive. But we can see that in your previous life you performed sinful activities due to which, in spite of you having all qualifications, you have no son." Hare Krishna. Okay, so we have been discussing about King Anga, who has arranged a wonderful sacrifice with the help of his priests. They are expert brahmanas who are expert in chanting the mantras and executing the performance, and the king has collected all the paraphernalia very purely with great faith and care, and they have followed the whole procedure perfectly, but still they fail. The demigods whom they are chanting mantras for, they do not appear to take their share of sacrifice. So the priests are not able to find any reason. So they tell the king, "My dear king, even though everything is perfect, but there is no success. The devatas are not taking the share of sacrifice." So the king got little disturbed and aggrieved. And because he was sitting in the sacrifice, he is not supposed to speak. Just like we chant japa, 16 rounds, we should not speak in between. Our chanting should not be inclusive of other activities. Like we are chanting Hare Krishna, and in between we meet a devotee, say, "How are you? Kaise hain aap?" And then Hare Krishna, how are you? That should not be there. We should not talk in between. Chant nice 16 rounds. So in between arti, in between japa, we should avoid talking. So the king wanted to talk, but it is not good, it is not proper etiquette. So he requested permission from the priest that, "Can I speak, because this is unusual." So when he got permission, he asked them, "Please find out a reason why the demigods are not coming. Maybe I have done an offense. Please find out what offense I have done. The demigods are not taking part in the sacrifice and not accepting any shares." So the head priest, they said that, "We do not find in this life you have committed any offense. You are a pure soul. You have not done any sinful activity. In fact, even in your mind, you have not committed any offense." See, King Anga is so pure. Even in his mind, he has not done any impure activity or thought bad about somebody. Even in your mind, you have not committed any offense. But in your previous life, you have committed some sinful activity, because of which, even though you are qualified, but you are not getting any son, and the demigods are not coming to give you the result of the sacrifice. So in previous life, if we commit a sinful activity, the result comes in this life, in future life. So we should not think that anything I can do, no problem, I will not suffer. In fact, whatever we do, good karma or bad karma, the result is compulsory. The result cannot be avoided. If we do papa, bad karma, the result is distress, suffering, misery, disease, and that will come. And if you do good karma, punya, then the result is happiness, reward, that will come. So in this life, whatever reward and punishment we receive, whatever happiness and distress we receive, whatever convenience and inconvenience we receive, is because of the past life karma. So whatever distress we receive is because of past life sinful activity. So King Anga has committed some sinful activity in past life. That's why even though he is qualified, but he is not destined to have a son. Now why do kings want a son? For that we should understand the purpose of having a son. And for that we should understand the purpose of marriage. And for that we should understand the purpose of human form of life. Each one of us, each living entity, soul, has eternal loving relationship with Krishna. We have love for Krishna. But by some miscalculation, when we come down to the material existence, material world, that pure love in our heart also comes down. And in contact with material mode of passion, that love becomes lust, an intense desire to enjoy, prominently visible in lusty sexual activities, desire to come in contact with opposite gender. A boy wants to come in contact with girl and vice versa. So that's lust. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, lust is a formidable enemy. This because of lust, we are not able to go back home, back to Godhead. Because of lust, our love for Krishna is being covered. Because of lust, we are not able to see Krishna face to face. So this lust is in between our me and Krishna, our spiritual life. And lust is a formidable enemy, very difficult to overcome. So to sort out this problem of lust, there is a concept of marriage, vivaha sanskar. A male has a desire to come in contact with multiple females. And if he does that irresponsibly, then he goes to Narak Loka, to hellish life. And there he is punished very badly. A male or a female who comes in contact with opposite gender in illicit way, illegal way, outside marriage, in Narak Loka, he has to embrace a hot iron female form. And his whole body is burning. And he is beaten up by Yamdutas with sharp swords. And his whole blood comes out and flesh comes out. That is the punishment given for illicit sexual activity. So a male getting attracted to multiple females is a very abominable situation. Is third class, highly sinful, uncivilized, and sure shot confirmation to go to hellish planet. So to help the male not to go to hellish planet, not to commit such sinful activity, there is vivaha samskar, wherein he marries a chaste wife and he remains honest and loyal to his wife. And once he marries a wife, then he no longer gets attracted to other females if his married life is suitable. And that wife is a best friend because she protects him from lust, which is worst enemy. If you have a formidable enemy and somebody protects you from that formidable enemy, then the one who protected you is your best friend. So from getting attracted to multiple female partners, the wife makes sure that the husband is attracted to her only. If the husband talks to other female, the wife gets angry and envious. And we think this is not good woman character. But this character of woman helps the male not to get involved with other females so that he can maintain peace in his family. And that's how he is protected. Just like a king is protected from enemies by a fort. If a king constructs a fort and stays inside the fort, then no enemy can attack because the fort is very powerful. In the same way, a good wife protects the husband from all lusty activities, from all so-called attraction to female partners, from all the multiple sensual desires. So, wife is a best friend who gives protection to the husband from unwanted lusty activities. And in return for this protection, the husband takes responsibility of maintaining the wife and responsibility of maintaining the children. So, lusty activities or sex life comes with responsibility, that when husband and wife unite, they only unite for procreation, for giving birth to children. Wife is not a sex machine that anytime I want I on it. It's only for procreation. It's only for bringing forth Krishna conscious children. So again, our goal is to revive our love for Krishna, but lust is in between, and we are not capable to overcome lust. So one enters into Grahastha ashram to get protection from lust. But Grahastha ashram is not the goal of life. Love is goal of life. To obtain this Krishna prem, this love, there is an obstacle called lust. And to take care of the obstacle called lust, I marry and follow the rules and regulations of Grahastha ashram. But eventually I have to quit Grahastha ashram so that I pursue, after satisfying my lust, I pursue the process of getting Krishna prem. So after Grahastha there is Vanaprastha, retired life, then there is Sannyas, so that one can pursue searching for Krishna, searching for absolute truth. So when somebody marries, he should understand eventually he has to leave the family life to pursue Krishna consciousness. But how can he leave family life? Who will take care of his wife? And the answer is a son. So if a male marries and begets a son, say at age 25 a boy marries and he begets a son, then at age 50 his son will be 25 years. Who will marry? Now there is son and daughter-in-law and mother, wife of the man. Now at age 50 he has a grown-up son who can take care of his wife. So the man can take sannyas and pursue Krishna consciousness and go back home, back to Godhead. So this is why a son is required. This doesn't mean we hate girl child. It is a very third-class concept that people go for sonography of a pregnant wife and find out it is a girl and kill her inside. That is Dafa 302, murder, and such a person should be hanged until death. One should not kill girl child. Son is required so that the male can take sannyas, the husband can take sannyas. And as many girls are born, no problem. The girls will grow up and marry and go to next ashram, go to their husband. That's not a problem. They are not liabilities. So a son is required just for taking care of elder mother, taking care of wife, so that father, husband can take sannyas and practice Krishna consciousness. It is not hate towards girl child. We have example of Kardam Muni. He was a brahmachari sitting in Himalayas, pure devotee, and he wanted to marry. So he prayed to Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu sent Manu Maharaj, who came and did Kanyadan of his beautiful daughter Devhuti. But before accepting Devhuti, Kardam Muni told Manu Maharaj, I will not stay with her whole life. Once I give her son, I will take sannyas. See, before marriage only he made it clear that I will not stay with her whole life. Once I give her son, I will take sannyas. And that was agreeable to everybody. And Devhuti and Kardama got married. And after marriage, Kardama Muni was performing austerities and Devhuti was serving him. And then when the suitable time came, they had physical union. And Devhuti got 9 daughters from Kardama Muni, 9 daughters. So now Karda Muni thought, I can take sannyas. So he was ready to leave. So when he was ready to leave, Devuti approached and said, this is not good, you can't leave. You gave me 9 daughters, but this 9 will marry and go away and I'll be alone. As a husband, it is your responsibility to give me fearlessness. A husband takes service from wife. The wife cooks, the wife cleans the house, the wife washes the clothes, and the wife surrenders her body to the husband. So in response, the husband's responsibility is to maintain the wife, give her her needs and requirements, and also give her access to liberation, give her spiritual knowledge for liberation, give her fearlessness. So Devuti said, you are a great devotee. You gave me 9 daughters. These 9 daughters will marry and go away. And you are going to take sannyas. And you will achieve Krishna. And what will happen to me? You can't go like this. I also need liberation. I also need fearlessness. So you wait. You don't go. You wait and give me a son. So then Karda Muni had to stay back. He didn't take sannyas. Then eventually a son was born, Kapila Muni. And after Kapila Muni was born and grew up, then Karda Muni took permission of Kapila Muni, who is Krishna himself, and went for sannyas. Now Karda Muni took sannyas to search for Krishna. And Krishna is his son, Kapila Muni. So when Krishna is your son, still you are going to search for Krishna. What is this? This is because Karda Muni is teaching us that my son is Kapila Muni. He is Krishna himself. Still I am taking sannyas. And who are you not to take sannyas? Who are you not to live your family life? Who are you to get attached to family life till the end of breath? So Karda Muni went and took sannyas after permission from Kapila Muni. Then Mother Devuti approached Kapila Muni, and Kapila Muni taught her mother Sankhya system, Sankhya yoga, taught her how to do bhakti, and she performed bhakti and she got liberated, and today she is in Vaikuntha Loka with Karda Muni and Kapila Muni in Kapil Vaikuntha. So this is a very exemplary Grahastha life in which the husband gave the son to the wife and took sannyas, and the son took care of his mother, and they all got liberated. They all became spiritually perfect. We have example of Priyavrat Maharaj. Priyavrat Maharaj is son of Manu Maharaj, and Manu Maharaj is a king. So at one time he called Priyavrat Maharaj and he said, my dear son, now I will retire and go to the forest to practice Krishna consciousness. So you please take over the kingdom. So Priyavrat Maharaj, he is disciple of Narad Muni and he is a very advanced devotee. So he said, my dear father, why should I become a king? After becoming king again I have to retire and go back to my spiritual life. So better now also I continue my spiritual life. I will not become king. I will not sit on the throne and do sense gratification. I will continue my spiritual progress. Then Manu Maharaj said, if you don't obey me, then I will have to continue on the throne. Then what will happen to my Krishna consciousness? I can't continue ruling the kingdom. So you should sit on the throne. And Priyavrat Maharaj said, I will not sit. See, nowadays people fight to sit on the throne. This father and son are fighting not to sit on the throne, and not an ordinary throne, the king of the whole earth planet. So Manu Maharaj is the father and he is insisting that you sit on the throne so that I retire and practice Krishna consciousness. And Priyavrat Maharaj is young son who is a brahmachari, and he is saying, why should I sit on the throne and become a king and get involved in sense gratification? I will continue my spiritual life. Because Narad Muni has preached to Priyavrat Maharaj. So when Manu Maharaj understood Narad Muni is preaching to Priyavrat Maharaj, he realized that I cannot convert Priyavrat Maharaj's desire to brahmacharya. Like so many young boys join ISKCON and their parents try a lot to convert them, not to join ISKCON, not to join ashram, but they know our preaching is so powerful. They can't convert. So many cases are like that. So it happened with us also. So Manu Maharaj got upset and he complained to Brahma. Brahma is the spiritual master and father of Narad Muni. So Brahma had to come down Brahma came down on the swan where Narad Muni and Priyavrat Maharaj was sitting, and Brahma told Priyavrat Maharaj, look, to rule this planet, Lord Vishnu has ordered. So you follow your father's order, you rule the throne, you rule the planet. I bless you that you never forget Krishna. And Priyavrat Maharaj became the king and he ruled for 11 Arbuda years. This more than crore, 11 Arbuda years. But he always remembered Krishna and he ruled very nicely. He is the one who made 7 continents and oceans and islands, etc. He was like another sun, so powerful. So we see the kings of the past, they always were very eager to take sannyas, to retire from family life, to retire from material attachment, to retire from sense gratification, to retire from comfort, to retire from convenience, to retire from all the entanglement, and live a very simple life in the forest, depending on fruits and river water, and staying under a tree and advancing in spiritual life. So the goal of human life is Krishna consciousness. Grihastha ashram is just a way to help us be peaceful because of the attack of lust and continue practicing Krishna consciousness. And eventually one should leave the family attachment and retire and take sannyas and renounce. So for that a son is required, because the son can take care of elder mother. Because woman is not supposed to take sannyas and stay in the forest. The body of the woman is made in such a way that she requires a house and protection. So the son takes care of elderly mother. Elderly mother stays with the son and daughter-in-law, and she teaches the daughter-in-law how to conduct the household affairs, and she helps to take care of the grandchildren, and in that way she continues to do her devotional service with the protection of the son. And the husband takes sannyas and he practices Krishna consciousness, and as he becomes mature he travels and he preaches to other young members of the society, brahmacharis and other grihasthas, and in that way everybody in the society gets benefit. So this is not against girl child, this is just a arrangement so that a person can practice Krishna consciousness. So today also this should happen. Young girls and boys, when they get married, they continue to practice Krishna consciousness, and when the son grows up, the son takes care of family affairs, and the husband and wife, they retire from active social life and they go to pilgrimage like Vrindavan and Mayapur. They stay there or they multiple times visit and practice Krishna consciousness under the association of devotees, under the guidance of sadhus. And in that way, if the husband is eligible and the son is ready to take care of elder mother, the husband takes sannyas and he preaches, and in that way everybody grows in spiritual life. So that is the purpose of marriage, that is the purpose of Grihastha ashram, that is the purpose of having a son, that is the purpose of goal of human life, that is the purpose of human form of life, to practice Krishna consciousness. So sex life is a life of responsibility. Sexual activity means there is a responsibility. A child is born and that child should be taken care. Modern methods of having irresponsible sexual activity and avoiding giving birth to children by birth control methods is sinful. Using contraceptives just to enjoy another body but not to take responsibility of childbirth, that's sinful activity. So that is not encouraged. So this is only possible when before marriage there is proper education. A proper education for a boy child is celibacy, brahmacharya. So before marriage a boy should practice brahmacharya under the guidance of a spiritual master. Getting up early morning, taking bath, attending Mangalarati, chanting rounds, having a simple lifestyle, sleeping on floor, serving the spiritual master menially, not coming in contact with girls. That's brahmacharya in Gurukul. And education for girl child is chastity. She learns that from her mother, how to be a chaste woman. So when she grows up, she is loyal and honest to the husband. She takes care of the husband. She takes care of the elder members of the house. She takes care of the kitchen, house, and cows and deities and guests and children. And in that way, she learns chastity. So when a boy child learns celibacy and the girl child learns chastity, and when they are at appropriate age they marry, a celibate boy and a chaste girl, they are bound to have first child son. Because of celibacy and chastity, they are bound to have first child son. And after 20 years, 25 years, the son is ready to take care of the household affairs. And in that way, the responsibility, everybody continues the responsibility and spiritual progress happens. That's Varnashram. Now if somebody doesn't has a son, that means there is some past sinful karma. That means some past sinful activity has happened. Just like King Anga here, he is not getting son, even though he is qualified. That means some past sinful activity has happened. So what is the solution for that? We will see what Anga did in the future verses. So you stay tuned. So if today somebody doesn't has a son, they can adopt a son. Or somebody has daughter, they can tell the first daughter that after your marriage, you give birth to one extra son and give us back. We will adopt your extra one son. So the couple, they give birth to a daughter. The daughter marries and gives birth to son and gives it back to the parents. And she can again give birth, being fertile, she can again give birth to more sons for herself. So the parents adopt the grandson as their son. So that also works. Manu Maharaj did that, and he adopted Yagya, the son of Ruchi. And he took care of Yagya in the childhood, who grew up and protected his father when he was performing tapasya. And Yagya eventually became Indra. So that is there. Even if that doesn't happen, then today's Grahasthas who may not have a son, they should just continue practicing spiritual life. The husband should not take sannyas because wife cannot be left alone. But they should live a life of vanaprasth. That means they retire from active social life or sex life or earning life. They earn and save money, and now they practice spiritual life. That means they attend Mangal, either they stay in Dham or near a ISKCON temple, and they follow the same schedule as devotees follow in the temple. They attend Mangal Aarti, they attend Narsingha Aarti, they attend Tulsi Aarti, they chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, they chant, they worship Srila Prabhupada, Guru Puja, and they hear Bhagavatam and read Bhagavatam and offer prasadam to the deities and worship the deities and follow 4 regulative principles and follow Ekadashi, Janmashtami and other festivals. And they do devotional service and assist in preaching activities and themselves preach to young couples. An ideal Grahastha can preach to new couples how to live a Grahastha life. A Brahmachari like us, how much they can have experience of preaching to Grahasthas. Only a senior Grahastha can nicely preach to a new Grahastha. A senior Grahastha, Vanaprasth couple can easily preach to new Grahasthas because they know the experience of Grahastha ashram and they can preach. A Brahmachari preaching to new couple, okay, spiritually it will work in terms of inspiring and motivating them to Krishna consciousness. But there are lots of Grahastha issues, social, psychological agendas, which a Vanaprasth Grahastha who is good in Krishna consciousness, who is experienced, can do it better. That's why many Gurukuls in earlier would be couples. Guru and Guru Patni would be there. Even Krishna Balram's Guru, Sandipani Muni, he was a Grahastha staying in the ashram. And Guru Patni and Guru together took care of Krishna Balram. So young boys, when they join Gurukul, they need a mother, and that's Guru Patni who takes care. And young couple, they need an experienced Vanaprasth couple who can help them. So today's Grahasthas in ISKCON congregation, if they practice very nicely, even if they don't take sannyas because of some reasons, they can still be a very ideal Vanaprasth couple who can take care of many, many Grahasthas in the community. And they can be very big asset. Today sannyasis keep on traveling, so they don't have time to spend with their disciples. And their young disciples need guidance. From where they will get guidance? So they approach brahmacharis, which spiritually is inspiring and encouraging, but they have some social agendas which brahmacharis are not experienced, So they can approach the Vanapras couples in the congregation, the Grahasthas who have experience of leading a Grahastha life, and they can help the young couples. So in that way sannyasis are free to move around. Not that a sannyasi comes to a city and there are 10 Grahasthas who are fighting among themselves and coming to sannyasis to solve their problem. They can approach a local Vanapras couple who knows them well. They are from the same city, so they know it well than a sannyasi who is visiting. So today's Vanapras should understand they have a very big role in the society to help the young couples, provided they are ideal. That means they stop their social activities, they reduce their social interactions, they follow full morning program, they maintain their purity, they follow 4 regulatory principles, they chant, read and hear Srimad Bhagavatam, and in that way they become experienced preachers helping the society. And finally at the end, both husband and wife go back home, back to Godhead, because they have led an ideal life. So that's why son is required. Son is also required to perform Shraddha in case the father or mother or any ancestors, they go to hellish planet because of some sinful reaction, sinful activity. Then by performing Shraddha and transferring the benefit of worshipping Vishnu to the ancestors, to the parents who have died, they can be relieved from hellish planet, they can be relieved from punishment. So a son can do that also. A son can worship Vishnu and transfer the credits to the parents and ancestors who have died, and that way they are relieved from sinful punishment. So that is why Anga wants a son who can help him to retire, and thus he can practice spiritual life. And that's how today's couples should conduct themselves. In any case, we should practice spiritual life whether we have a son or not, and become ideal Grahasthas so we can be a good role models in the society. Okay, then what does Anga do now? That we will see in future classes. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. If there are any questions or comments, you may please ask or type.
Very good advice, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Beautiful teachings in the modern times. But then there is one question, Prabhuji. What happens to those who are, say, brahmacharis or who are taken to brahmacharya, about their responsibility to the parents to whom they are born?
Well, it's a mixed question because I am one such. So if there are 2 sons, it's nice. But in my case, I was the only son. So the parents take care of each other. And if there's some very wait. So the parents take care of each other. And there's very some emergency, and even relatives are not around, then the brahmachari can go take care of their medical issues or something and come back to the ashram. So because the brahmachari has given his life to Krishna, his obligations are finished. But still socially, if required, he can help the parents for temporary period of time. And the biggest thing is, because brahmachari has given his life to Krishna, so Krishna takes care. So Krishna takes care of such parents. And if the brahmachari is pure, then 100% the parents, without doing anything, go back home, back to Godhead. So actually, if you make your son join brahmachari ashram and he practice sincerely, you just sleep whole day. He will do Mangalarti, he will do chanting, he will do everything. You will go back home, back to Godhead so easily. So the parents get very great benefit. They may have some loneliness or some emotional lack, but they get very great benefit in sense that next life they don't become dog and cat. They go back home, back to Godhead just because the son has become a pure devotee.
Yeah, it happened that recently only Krishna Bhajan Prabhu, his father, he left the body, and then he had to go there to perform the rites and all that.
Yeah, so he was there and he read Chaitanya Chaitamrita, he sang Krishna's holy name, he gave him all the spiritual benefit, and his father chanted the holy name and then departed. And now he will come back to the ashram after a few days.
So, in spite of being in the brahmacharya, they are not cut off from the family.
No, they are cut off, but if there is nobody else to serve on the social platform, they may do that duty. Because nowadays, earlier there were no phones and all, so you will not even know what is happening to your parents. Nowadays, phone call is there, so the mother will call and cry, look, your father is unwell. So, on social platform, the brahmachari may visit. So, earlier that was not the case. There were no phones. So, brahmachari somewhere in the Gurukul or somewhere serving the spiritual master, and he will get a letter saying that your father is unwell, but by the time he reaches the letter, the father must have died also. So, nothing much to do. And earlier there would generally be more than one sons. And there will be joint family. So, somebody, Chacha's son will be there. Brothers, husband's brother would be there. They would take care. Joint family, so widow mother would be staying in the joint family, so would not be a problem. Okay?
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, I have a question on Facebook. Prabhuji, boy can take sannyas and get rid out of material problems and issues, but girl can't do that completely. She have to stay home and do bhakti, but she can't get rid of material problems and issues. Why? Okay, there is a question that why girls cannot take sannyas. So the woman body is made in such a way that it cannot endure the life of a sannyasi, traveling, staying in the forest or begging food and staying under a tree or whatever like that. But that is not a loss. A woman can stay at home, practice the same spiritual life. She doesn't have to travel, and she can still go back home, back to Godhead. Get up early morning, do Mangalati, chant her rounds, read Bhagavatam. Just by doing that, she can go back home, back to Godhead. So there is no loss for a woman. Okay. Jai Prabhu, wonderful class in explaining the role of husband and wife. Okay, this is just a... Okay, one more question. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, matriarchal families are so very prevalent in South India even today. Girls are well read, well brought up, look after parents even after marriage. Do scriptures forbid parents from being taken care of under the shelter of daughter, son-in-law? Well, if there is no son, a girl can take care of her parents. A girl after marriage with her son-in-law can take care of old parents. That's not a problem. That is fine. As far as nobody's spiritual life is disturbed, these duties are fine. Okay, any more questions on Zoom? Yes. Dandat Pranam. What? I didn't get you. Today's scenario?
I'm saying, Prabhuji, that in today's scenario, when certain things say you increase your population so that the number, even increasing the numbers.
Come back. In today's scenario, one should not increase the numbers.
No, I'm saying there are certain faith which believe in increasing the number to propagate their religion or whatever faith they believe in.
So,
In Krishna consciousness, when we come, we are learning that we should have only, or rather, the husband and wife should unite only to have procreation. So maybe a son, maybe a daughter, whatever.
no, we are not saying you can produce 10-20 children and make them Krishna conscious. That's fine. A parent's responsibility is the children should become Krishna conscious. They should not enter one more life, one more cycle of birth and that, one more womb of the mother. So if somebody is qualified parent who can take care of children and give them liberation, Bhakti Siddhanta Swami Thakur said, I am ready to produce 100 children if they all get liberated. So that's not a problem. It should not be just enjoyment, sexual enjoyment. It should be a responsible life. So if somebody has more children, he should take care of them nicely. Okay? Thank you. Any more questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, one question. In case if a girl is devotee and the son is an atheist, so can a girl take their parents back home, back to Godhead?
Okay, yes. When the girl practices Krishna consciousness, it gives benefit to her parents and even her in-laws. So yes, she can give benefit, spiritual benefit to her husband also. If the girl practices Krishna consciousness, married woman, even husband gets benefit, spiritual benefit. So that will happen. Okay?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Yes, next question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavad Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavad Pranam.
But can the girl child you can take care of the rituals after the death of a person, even if she is Krishna consciousness or like that?
Okay, come back. When,
Krishna Prabhu, can a girl child take care of the parents or after the death, the rituals, all these things?
no, generally that is done by a boy child.
Boy only.
Yeah.
For girls it is not allowed.
No. It requires initiation into mantras, especially Gayatri and sacred thread. Like deity worship, we require Gayatri mantra and sacred thread. So earlier only boys used to get Gayatri. Even now, girls don't get sacred thread. They do get Gayatri in terms of practicing Krishna consciousness. But this sanskaras, like Antim sanskar, after death rituals, that requires that Gayatri and sacred thread, mantras, which a boy child should do. Or if there is no son, then a like son, brothers can do, or brother's son can do, grandson can do like that. Daughter's son can do. Okay? Yeah. Brother's son can do, daughter's son can do like that. Okay. Any more questions? Okay. We will end here. Thank you very much, Srimad. Okay, there is one more question. Any? Hare Krishna. Dandavad Pranam.
You can hear me, right?
Yes.
My question is that Sri Mataji, she was advised by Vidura.
Wait. Can we request others to mute?
Yes, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Yes,
Yeah.
so Gandhari was requested by Vidura to take sannyas along with her husband. Now both of them were blind, so they still took sannyas on the advice of Vidura. And because you just said that women are not supposed to take sannyas, but then she didn't have any sons, living sons to take care of her either. So how can we understand this
Who took
type of
sannyas?
situation, you know?
Wait. Who? Gandhari.
Yeah, Gandhari went
She didn't.
with
They didn't take sannyas. They just left the palace. Wait. They just left the palace, and as a Vanapras couple, they stayed in the ashram in the forest.
okay.
Gandhari didn't take sannyas.
Okay, so that was Vanaprastha.
Yeah, she accompanied her husband, and they left the palace, and they died in the ashram.
Yeah, there was a forest fire, right?
Yeah, so she accompanied her husband as Vanapras couple.
So in this case, so when we
Yes, yes, yes. It's better.
Okay, fine. Okay, Prabhu.
Okay.
Thanks for clearing that.
Thank you. Okay. Vanapras, they are still together, but they are not having any physical relationship.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay, we will end here. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Okay, devotees on Facebook. We will end. There are no more questions. Hare Krishna.